What if AI could solve one of those super common, super annoying frustrations in life? Like waiting forever at the dentist. Well, a new study shows exactly how that's possible. We're going to break down how a team of researchers is using artificial intelligence to make your next dental visit, well, a whole lot smoother.
You know the feeling. We've all been there. You show up right on time for your appointment, feeling all responsible, only to spend what feels like an absolute eternity in the waiting room, flipping through magazines that are probably older than your phone. It's such a universal experience. But what if, and this is a big what if, it didn't have to be that way? And hey, this isn't just about our convenience, as nice as that would be. For the healthcare professionals, that waiting room backlog is actually a massive logistical nightmare. Solving it isn't just a small fix. It means better efficiency, way less stress for the staff, and, at the end of the day, just a higher quality of care for all of us. So, how do you even begin to tackle a scheduling problem that complex? Well, a team of researchers decided to ditch the old clipboard and appointment book and instead build an AI specifically designed to basically predict the future. So, the core idea here was pretty simple, but brilliant. They wanted to create a smart tool that could give a dental clinic a really accurate time estimate for any procedure. No more guesswork, right? Just predictions driven by actual data. And to do that, they needed a special kind of AI called machine learning. Okay, so what is machine learning, really? Well, you can think of it like this. Instead of a programmer trying to write a million if-then rules for every possible dental scenario, which would be impossible, you just give the computer a massive amount of data and let it figure out the patterns on its own. It literally learns from experience, kind of like we do, just on a way, way bigger scale. Now, this is where it gets really clever. The AI they built wasn't just a one-trick pony. It was a hybrid model with 3 different layers of intelligence. Okay, so first, it learns from thousands of past appointments to see the patterns. But what about rare procedures it's never seen? Well, for those, it does a quick online search of official dental guidelines to get a ballpark estimate. And then, finally, and this is my favorite part, it has a layer of good old-fashioned common sense baked in. A set of rules like, hey, a complex root canal is never, ever going to be done in 5 minutes. And here's what it actually looks like in practice. It's not some intimidating, complicated dashboard. Nope. A dentist or a receptionist just punches in the details of the procedure, and boom, they get an instant time prediction. It's simple, it's clean, and it's just incredibly powerful. Okay, so building a cool piece of software is one thing, but proving it actually works, that's a whole different ballgame. So naturally, the researchers had to put their model through its paces to see if the predictions were for real. Every single AI project starts with one thing, data, and lots of it. So the team began by collecting this huge data set of patient records. But you can't just dump raw data into an AI. They had to carefully clean it and process it, screening out things like incomplete records or super rare cases to make sure the AI had really high-quality, reliable information to learn from. So here's how you test an AI to make sure it's not, just cheating. First, you train it on a big pile of data, in this case, 2,500 past procedures, and you just let it learn all the hidden patterns. Then, you test it on a completely new set of cases, 250 of them, that it has never ever seen before. It's basically like teaching a student from a textbook and then surprising them with a final exam. So, how did the AI do on its final exam? Well, let me tell you, the results weren't just good. They were, frankly, pretty stunning. Get this. The first big number they got was something called an R-squared value of over 97%. Now, in simple terms, that means that the factors the AI was looking at could explain more than 97% of the variation in time from one procedure to the next. I mean, that is just an insane level of accuracy. But okay, what does that 97% actually mean in the real world for you and me? Well, that brings us to this next number, the mean absolute error. It means that, on average, the AI's prediction was only off by 2.6 minutes. Just think about that. Your dentist being able to predict your appointment time, give or take less than 3 minutes. That's the kind of precision we are talking about here. And this is what that incredible accuracy looks like visually. What you're seeing here maps the actual time a procedure took versus what the AI predicted it would take. See how tightly all those little dots are clustered along that perfect straight line? That's what you want to see. That's the picture of a near-perfect prediction. And get this, the model wasn't just accurate in one specific area. It held up across a whole bunch of different dental specialties. For each specialty, you can see how the actual time it took, on the left, almost perfectly mirrors the AI's predicted time on the right. That proves the model is super robust and reliable, whether you're seeing a general practitioner or a top oral surgeon. Now, having this level of accuracy allowed the researchers to ask a really fascinating question. With all this data crunched, what factors actually make the biggest difference in how long a procedure takes? And believe me, some of the answers are pretty surprising. So, what did the AI find? Well, two things had a huge impact: the dentist's years of experience and their specific specialty. Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? But what's really fascinating is what didn't matter, at least not in a statistically significant way: the patient's age or their gender. The AI found those just weren't predictive factors. All right, so we've got this incredibly successful test. What does this all actually mean for the future of, say, your local dental clinic? Well, it all comes right back to where we started, that waiting room. An AI that can predict treatment times this accurately can help create perfectly optimized schedules. And what does that mean? It means less waiting time for you, a much smoother, less chaotic workflow for the staff, and a clinic that just runs like a well-oiled machine. So if we're boiling this all down, what are the key takeaways? First, AI is clearly a super promising and incredibly accurate tool for dentistry. Second, this isn't just some academic exercise. This kind of software can directly improve how a clinic runs. Of course, that depends on clinics keeping good electronic records. And maybe the most exciting part? This exact same model could probably be adapted for almost any other medical field, from the emergency room to your eye doctor. And that really leaves us with a final big question to think about. We started this whole thing with a simple, everyday annoyance: the crowded waiting room. But if AI is seriously on the verge of solving that, what other parts of our daily lives, from traffic jams to grocery store checkout lines, what's it ready to fix next?